Asking for the Holy Spirit and the presence of God in our marriage and staying close to the Lord and his church, and how important that is, because he is the source of light and love. And it's hard to share unconditional agape, sacrificial love, without Christ. I love this part. Help us to be kind to each other, tender-hearted. You don't hear that word very much. Forgiving one another as you've forgiven us. We're going to talk some about that, about in marriage, we're going to step on each other's toes. We're going to hurt each other by maybe something we say or something we omit to say, or our actions, right? We're human beings. So forgiveness is very important. Manula's wisdom about be careful what you write in stone that's permanent on your heart. Last week, we talked about seeing each other more in a positive light as God's beloved son and daughter. And we need the Lord to be able to do that and not to judge each other. And here in the prayer, grant us always to see our faults, means help us to be accountable for our role in the conflict or the hurt. Let me see. Help us to see our faults and not to judge each other. Open our eyes to the best in each other. Remember last week we talked about Erickson said in Love and Respect, the book, that it's important that the movie, the story of us, is good. 80% positive. If I ask you, tell me what you love about your wife or your husband, it would have 20 positives, maybe to 1 negative. And he said 80% is the story of us, which should be positive, expansive, moving, dynamic. And 20% are snapshots of maybe a fight or a hurt or an anger. But it's very, very important, because that 20% can contaminate the 80%. When I ask someone, tell me about your wedding, tell me about how you met, I can tell if that 80% has been the story of us, has been contaminated by the 20%. And it becomes the whole story, the whole picture, always, never. Not good words. Usually they're not true, they're lies. And we said, God is our God of truth and light, but there is an evil one that wants to destroy marriage, the nucleus, because when marriage gets destroyed, we talked about the importance of the cell, the family, especially for our children. Okay, any questions about last time as we move through? Love this too. May our home be a haven where spiritual values are treasured and holy principles are modeled. Every marriage, every home has her guidelines, her shared story, her shared values in the home. And we're asking the Lord to bless those, to follow in his way. And I want to talk about that a little bit. There was a study done. First, any questions, especially those who might not have been here last week? Are we ready to move forward? Is that cool? Okay. It was research done in one of my podcasts I did for OCN with Eleni Alexiou. We did, what was that called? The balance beam. Oh, anyway, it was on marriage, family, etc. And I think it's still on OCN, right? The podcast. We'll get the name for you. I've been counseling all day, so forgive my little, what was that called? It's so, they asked, what does it take so our children have a strong perception of closeness and trust in their family? Remember, we talked about it is important as human beings to feel we belong to something bigger than ourselves, right? So we can be a part of, we can impact that system in our unique way. And we talked about receiving and accepting each other, different family of origins. One's a male, one's a female, very different hormones and balance, and even as individuals. Different experience, different education, different, the way we celebrate even Christmas, our summer vacations. We have to honor that the other person is different than us. But it is important to create this closeness and this trust. And life is complicated, especially when you are blessed with children. Your roles change, your sleep changes, your stress level changes to where, if I put a rubber band here, and before children, the rubber band would be easy going and you'd have some kind of stress, good or bad, and the rubber band would get a little bigger, but then you'd go back to here. Well, now, lack of sleep, lack of communication, time to yourself, to shower, togetherness, the rubber band will stretch here, but it won't go here. It goes here. So next time it goes further out. And if I had a big old rubber band here, and if I didn't go back to here, eventually what would happen to that rubber band? It pop, right? High stress. So it's important to allow time in our schedules to have that prayer, to have that rest, to have that time to connect with God and Christ-centered marriage, because that's where you go back to here. And that is so important in the family at large, especially when you have a small child. So as the children grow, we asked in the research, how do you perceive closeness and trust? And the child's perception, a lot of time, I think, do any of you have children who are talking yet? No, you do. Manula, you have 4, right? So if you ask them, how do you feel you belong here? How do you feel the trust and the closeness, especially as they get a little older? It's their perception. And it's important to ask them that, how was your day today? How did you feel coming home with all your brothers and sisters or mom and dad? And even with the little ones, to know their perception, because they need to feel they belong and closeness and trust. So I have a quote here. Some common expressions of closeness in families are clear communication. Most couples that come to counseling, that's their number one. I'm speaking Greek and he's speaking Chinese, and we're not communicating. And so when we fight, we get defensive, we close down, we don't feel heard. And it's hard to have agape love, sacrificial love. We need help. And that's what we're going to start tonight too, is how do we work on communication? How do we work? It said clear communication, caring. We care about each other, helping each other. Remember we said we're on a path, and the little quote we read, was that from St. John Chrysostom? When one falls, the other helps them up. They don't leave them down there. Loving, sharing, nurturing, and encouraging, making each other priority. All these and more of the good things in life are considered to be elements of a close family. As parents, we have to allow margins in our lives. You cannot give your children or each other what you don't have. You need to have that quiet time with God, that prayer time. You need to have your spiritual father, your confession time. So that you have margins, you have energy for each other and the children. As parents, one important aspect of parenting is making sure you have enough margins in your life to have the energy to lead. One of the greatest problems we have, especially in this country, is children are leading the homes. They have power. They're very insecure in that power that they have. They're not called to lead. Parents are called to lead, but we don't have enough margins, enough energy to lead. And when you're tired and your 4-year-old is whining and crying because they want ice cream and forget about vegetables and dinner, you're like, oh, for Pete's sake, just do it. Just have it, right? And we don't save enough time. We have to have the energy to lead. Parents are running around so ragged, there is nothing left but emotional scraps for their families. And I would even say emotional scraps for each other in their marriage. They're not, remember, I said the marriage is living and needs light, needs the light of Christ to be Christ-centered, needs church and communion together and that bigger picture of community in the church to feed it, to help. Many times turning to your cellular devices soothes you and helps you escape real life. But the problem is your husband, your wife is real life too. Your kids are real life. I have almost 2-year-old Labradoodle. And if I'm working a lot, he's my counseling dog. And if I'm on the phone a lot, or afterwards, if I'm checking things, he nudges me. He literally pushes the phone out of my hands. If a Labradoodle, 2 years old, knows, you know what? You're not looking at me. You're not petting me. You're not giving me a command. You're not leading. You know, what do you think our spouses think or our children? You have to have margins. And one of the biggest margins is if you think in yourself, what are my memories of my childhood? You will remember dinner time, meals, even if it's Sunday meals, and vacations, because those are the margins. Think about it. When you all gather together at the end of the day, and God willing, most of them, 80% were good. I'm sure there were some bad, just like everybody else. But that's where you belong, to that table. You said your prayers, you did your cross. That's why kids love going to summer camps, because they say, I love having a week where I can do my cross, I can say my prayers, I can go to church, I can sing the hymns, and everybody else is doing it too. I belong. And they can't have their phones. They have a week from their addictions. They can't look on social media to see how they rate or what's going on. So healing, so healthy. We need to have that every day. I don't care if it's for 15 minutes while you eat. Shut off anything that comes from the outside. And even doctors, even counselors, we can turn our phone off while we eat dinner for 15 minutes. Plus you have a better digestion, for Pete's sake. And you communicate and you look into each other's eyes. Communication, let's dig into that. How much of communication are the words? On my cell phone, my kids have so much fun because I've learned how to use emojis. So a lot of times I'll just put the little cute one with the sunglasses, or I'll put the one with the little hearts or whatever, and I don't even use words. So even emails, texting. They knew words were not enough. We need emotions. I'm Greek, so I talk with my hands, body language. What else? What about, am I talking like this constantly and not changing anything? My tone, my inflection, my eyes, right? The way I shape my mouth, I could say, you know, I really love you. But look, am I communicating that? No. Words are 9%. So first rule, when we communicate, even my dog knows this. Look at me. So you have to be intentional. Not all the time you're going to hold, you know, my granddaughter holds my face to make sure she has my eyes because I can multitask. Women, their brain barely lights up to multitask. We're good at that. We were created for that. We know where the kids are. We can work. We can answer the phone. We're doing the wash. We're doing a million. We're planning meals for Yaya down the street. And barely lights up. Men can multitask, but their brains look like Christmas trees. It takes more energy, more time, because, you know, they're the ones focused, the hunter, you know. So we're created different. We're all very different. I might be female, but not as good multitasking as another. But we are good at that. But we have to take that deep breath. We have to go to the margin and we have to say, you know what, sitting down and doing the puzzle with the baby on the floor is good. It's important. So dinner, we eat leftovers, we eat spaghetti. It's important. Meals are important. I don't care if you eat a simple bowl of cereal, do it together as a meal. Thanking God in prayer. More important than having an elaborate meal and eating it in front of the TV. Or, oh, excuse me, yeah, I'll be right with you. Oh, I gotta leave. I gotta talk. It can wait. Make that time a priority. And even some people go, well, Paula, I have to go back to work. Go, great. Take an hour. Have your family time, your peace time, your meal, and then go to work after. Set it up so you have that space. Closeness and trust, caring for each other, making each other priority. This poor guy I was counseling years ago, and he said, you know, when I come home from work, my wife's upstairs, she's on the phone, she's cooking, you know, she's a good mom, taking care. The kids are busy. They were preteens on their computer doing homework. And he would walk in and the only person, he goes, you know what? I love my dog. He's the only one who greets me at the end of the day when I come home and I, you know, open the drawer, I'm home. The only one who welcomes me is the dog. Nobody looks up. Nobody says, hi, Dad. How's your day? Come on over. He started to cry when he told me that, even in his own home. There used to be where when people walked in, you would make sure, hello, hey, honey, I'm home. I love Lucy. Honey, I'm Lucy, I'm home, right? I'm home. I'm home. And when you leave in the morning, greet each other, bless each other, kiss each other, because sometimes people don't come home. You've got to have, remember I said last time, marriage is a jewel, it's a blessing. Honor it as such. Not only do we get to know the other person, we get to know ourselves better, which is what God wants. Know thyself. Know where you fall. Know where you're weak, because I am strong. So children need to have a leader, and the leader is the nucleus, the marriage, and it needs to be Christ-centered. You need to go to the source of truth and light and pray together. We talked about that last time. Pray with the children all together, or pray as a couple, and let them hear you praying. I remember one time when I first started counseling, there was this young boy, Christian boy, he was getting in trouble. He was 15 years old. He was a single mom. And they had a family session. He's a good kid. He's just following his brother. His brother was in jail. He was his hero. So I remember sitting there, and mom was strong, but connected to the Lord. And he said, Mom, he said, I'm not going to go down that path. I hear you every night at the kitchen table after the rest of us have gone to bed. And I hear you begging and praying and thanking God and blessing each one of us and praying so hard for us. She verbalized it, and he heard her. He heard her prayers for him. Do your spouses hear you praying for each other? Do your children? I don't care how little they are. It's a scary world out there. And a lot of times there's a lot of fear because they're so bombarded, with what the world gives them. It's hard to shut it out, or what they hear at school, They need to hear you praying and connecting. That is leading your family. So communication starts, whether it's your children or your spouse or anyone. Sit. Remember tea time last time where they would face each other? Make time every day, the margins. You will notice the rubber band going like here instead of high stress. Any comments? That's how we create me into we. That's how we create belonging. The healthiest thing you can do for your family is that we belong. Because marriage is a gift. It's a pathway to salvation. You are helping each other, you're helping your children, Christ-centered lives, and to have salvation, eternity, to be more Christ-like. We need each other. It's the saddest thing when I see couples getting divorced. And I never tell a couple, unless there's high abuse or, but I believe in a big God. I believe in a God of healing, no matter what. They may have to separate to be safe and get help, and it takes two to do that. But, some people come to counseling as the last thing. They want you to seal the casket. I believe in a big God. And if you're willing to be committed and do the work, your marriage can be saved. But you have to commit. I can't do it. And both feet have to be in the marriage, not one in addiction or affair or whatever, both feet in the marriage. So let's talk about communication. Okay. All right. So a lot of times someone will come in and they're busy or something's in their head. They haven't closed the drawer yet to work. They've got to do an email or a call, or the kids need bathing and we need to get them in bed. So when you want to have what we call a dialogue, and the dialogue could be about, I want to talk to you about vacation. So that's more of a problem solving dialogue. Or it could be, I just really need to vent. You don't need to solve it. You don't need to fix it. Men love fixing things. I just need you to hear me and mirror me. That's all. Connect with me, right? Or, are you available? That really bothered me last night when we ended the phone call and you said that. And I really want to go deeper, what I call deeper in the iceberg. Again, an iceberg, I have a great picture I'll send to Noelle from the booklet we have on marriage. And we tend to stay in the top 20% of an iceberg. But where is the dangerous deep part of an iceberg? under the cold, dark water. And again, in that 80% is where really what the fight in the conflict is about. It's not about leaving your socks by the bed every day, and I have to pick them up. It goes much deeper than that. Could be family of origin, could be all kinds of things, expectations. So dialogue, this kind of conversation helps us to go deeper. And we talked about in marriage, we're vulnerable. So we need to feel safe with each other where we can go in the iceberg. And when people come and are staying on the top 20 and can't go in the deep waters, for one reason or other, they need that third person. I always go in the balcony and I look into the marriage and the conflict, and I can see both sides. You can't hurt me with either side. And I help each other see where the other's coming from. And I take them into the deep, cold waters. I hold the flashlight, and the Holy Spirit and the Lord heals and makes them feel trusting each other, connecting, cared for, emotionally connected, intimate. And then when they hurt each other, because as humans we do, right? They ask forgiveness. They can restart, they communicate. So when you start a conversation, you ask the other person if they're available. So Michael, I want you to ask Katrina if she's available. You're going to be the speaker. I'm going to feed you what to say. I don't want you to disclose anything. Okay?
Right. Katrina, are you available?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Yes, she doesn't have to do an email. She doesn't have to go take a shower. She's good. All right. Yes. Now, do we sit there and look at me? No. Well, how are you going to communicate? How are you going to see facial, hear tone of voice, body language? You're going to face each other. So turn towards each other.
Okay, can you take this?
Yeah.
So on the sofa, face each other. Touch is very comforting, especially for most humans, even if your knees touch or you hold hands. But do you see now how the body language, look what Michael just did. He opened his arm, he opened his heart. He didn't sit there like this. Can you all see me? He opened up. Katrina, I can't see all of you, but you moved towards him. You can see each other's face. Okay. Now she said, yes, I'm available, and got in position to be able to communicate more than just the words. Okay. Again, the second part of this, so important. And I will send Noelle the steps to email the couples. Okay. We've got this all in writing in the booklet. Are you available? And then the speaker, which would be Michael, takes a deep breath and gets his thoughts together. He doesn't start communicating with words of you did this and you blah, blah. Look at this. This is going to make you defensive. We call that the knife or the gun. In a lot of countries, you never point at someone. It makes you defensive, right? You start with I felt, I feel. And you use the word. I love it when people say, I felt like when that happened. I go, whoa, what did you feel like? Where's the feeling word? And I'll also send you can look online. There's a feeling chart. And it's got, it's not just sad, happy, mad, but there's a pie, an extension to have more detail of what you're really feeling. You could be angry when someone cuts you off, but it's not the same anger as if you see someone kick a dog, right? You might be livid, where in the traffic, you might be frustrated, you might be annoyed. And we always say, oh, I'm so angry. What are you? So those are little tools I'm going to give y'all. So the speaker takes a deep breath and puts his thoughts in order. Where the listener, you're giving him, Michael, the greatest gift we can give each other, to truly listen and hear and let him be other. So you're not going to, when people talk, they always say, are you done yet? So I could tell you how I feel about it? Or no, you are so wrong. This is real. No, we're giving each other the gift of listening. The world has lost that. Kids know how to do it. Kids want it. So, Thekla, you got a boo-boo. That hurts, doesn't it? Yeah, it hurts, Mama. What do you need? Can you kiss my boo-boo? Make it feel better. Yes, baby. They need validation. They need listening to. So, Michael, you're going to start with I feel blah, 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 when a specific thing happens. When we say you, we're going to the character, okay? We're going to the character of the person. When we say, I feel when this specific thing happened, we're identifying that moment or that action that hurt us or we didn't like. Does that make sense? Okay. So as the listener, Katrina, you're going to take a deep breath and go, this is the gift I give Michael. I don't have to defend myself. He will hear me after when it's my turn. Okay. All right. So face each other. All right. We're available. We face towards each other. Now, Michael, let's create a scenario. I used one, but one time it was too close to the couple. I feel scared when you didn't call me last night, and you always call me when you leave work. Is that too close to either one of you? Because something bad happened once or something. Okay. All right. So Michael, you're expressing to her, I felt scared when this specific thing happened. And the framework goes, I felt when this specific. You want to keep your communication maybe 2 sentences or 3, because the listener is going to mirror you. She's going to say, I hear you saying that you were scared. You're not going to respond and say, oh, I'm so sorry. You're going to mirror what you heard. Okay, let's start. First up, are you available for this conversation about last night? And then face each other when you're available, and start with I as the speaker. Take a deep breath, few sentences. And Katrina, you're going to take a deep breath and listen and mirror him. Like, you can use the exact words, but don't add or subtract. Okay, Michael, you start.
Okay. Katrina, are you available to talk about something that happened last night?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little louder, Michael? I think
Okay,
that
sorry.
sounds.
Talking to the mic.
I talk loud to children all day, so I
Oh,
try
you
to talk softer at home.
Okay. Yeah, well, my ears need to hear. Okay.
All right, I'll start over. All right, Katrina, are you available to talk about something that happened last night?
Yeah, I have some time.
Okay.
Okay, face towards. All right. Start, Michael. You're the speaker.
Okay. I felt scared when you were out at the store for a while and I hadn't heard from you. And I was hoping to receive a call or a text as an update, and I felt concerned.
Okay. I hear you saying,
I hear you saying that you were scared that you didn't hear from me last night when I was at the store.
okay,
Mhm.
but he said more, right? So if you don't get it all, you go, is there more? Did I miss something?
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
did I miss anything?
Okay, repeat what she missed, Michael.
Okay. I might get it wrong.
Oh, no.
That's okay. Or is there more? Go deeper.
No,
Why
okay.
were you scared?
That's good.
Is there more, or did I miss anything?
Nope, that's it. Just, I felt there could be more communication just so I feel at ease.
Good.
Okay.
Or I need. I felt scared when I didn't hear from you, and I really need just a text or a phone call that I should expect you. You're on your way. You see? Okay. So, and you did that. I needed, I expected a call. Okay. Mirror that, Katerina, mirror that.
I heard you say that you were scared when you didn't hear from me and you need me to call you if I'm going to be gone for a long period of time. Did I get that right?
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you share, you mirror. And when you say, is there more? And he says, no, you validate it. I could see why that scared you. Don't always say, I understand, because people go, no, you don't. You don't understand because that never happened when you were a kid or blah, blah. But I can see why that bothered you. It's okay to be you, right? I can see. So you would validate him. I can see.
I can see why you might be scared not hearing from me.
Okay.
Should I say?
And you might know maybe something happened. And then the fourth would be empathy. Empathy isn't sympathy. Sympathy is like if a man falls in a hole and another man walks on top of the ground and looks down and goes, oh man, that's rough. I'm so sorry. Right? And keeps walking. Empathy is if the man climbs the ladder, goes down, and said, gosh, that's really bad. Come on, I'll help you get up. This is really bad. Let's come out. Empathy, right? It could be in the form of what? I'm sorry. I really will try. This is important to you. Might not be important to me, but it's important to you. And a great question to ask each other is, help me understand why it's important to you. You know, it might not be important to my husband to, I don't know, lock the door when he comes in. But I grew up in Detroit. It's important to me to lock the door. It says, I love you, I'm protecting you. Help me understand. And I will send you these steps. But communication is so much more than the words we say. And that's why just texting, just email. Sometimes people will say, you know, honey, I'm with kids all day. I know many men who stay home with the children and the wife work. And they'll say, you know, I've been talking to kids all day. I really need to hear an adult, right? Or you might be at a job where you can't take a minute to make a phone call, right? And so what you would do is say, I'll send you a text during lunch, or I'll call you when I'm out. Expectations are key. Why? Help me understand why it's important and allow that other person to have it important. We are not the same. God did not put the same people together, not male and female, different histories, different family or different personalities, different, so much more, because we help each other, love, care, and even our children. You could have 4 children and the genetic makeup is so totally different. You go, these are the same parents. You know, my mother, God bless her, back in the 50s would dress my sister and I identical. And my sister finally, when she got 12, said, I'm not Paula. I don't want to wear that. I want to be me. I want to be who I am, right? And she had so many gifts, artistic and such. So out of convenience, my poor mama would just dress us identical, right? Makes it easy. So we want to honor that gift. We want to honor this prayer of tenderhearted forgiving. And we want the tools to communicate. If we lead our homes as leaders by example together, and we lead Christ-centered lives in our homes, in our churches, and our children are watching us, and they learn from how we live, then how important is it to learn to communicate and not get stuck in the top 20% of this and never feeling you can trust and safety, because kids will perceive I'm not safe. I'm not known. I don't belong. And that is the hardest thing, whether you're a baby, 2 years old, not to feel you are safe and you belong to something bigger than yourself and protected. And the prayer said that. How important. That's why all these little things are so important to practice. And there'll be times where it doesn't go so well. and you hurt and you have to go to your corner. So you might need your priest or your spiritual father or someone he might suggest as a counselor to help you navigate those waters. But boy, it makes a difference in a relationship. And there are seasons. There are hardship seasons when it feels like the rubber bands are out to here. Remember, it's a season. God gave us seasons for a reason. This too shall pass. Before you know it, those babies will all be grown up. You know, this too shall pass. Everything's not, we think I'm never going to sleep again till they're 18. Oh, you won't sleep any less or more than 18. So it's a season. Learn to help each other. Learn to pick each other up when one's tired or one falls.